Okay, this is my favorite compressor for squashing audio. It makes everything sound compact whilst adding a very pleasing distortion. Let's have a listen to it. Going to start with the plug-in bypassed and kick it in whilst we're playing back. Let's have a listen. I think you can see why I like it. However, the distortion is a part of the sound. It's something that you can't control, and it's certainly something that you can't turn off. Now this is Vollet 2, which of course is a compressor, and is also the subject of today's video. Now this can also be used to squash sound. However, it does it without distorting the sound. So let's have a listen to this. Same drill. We'll start with the plug-in, bypassed, and then kick it in. Okay, let's have a listen. So as you can hear and see, Vollet 2 achieves pretty much the same amount of squash as my compressor, but it does it in a very transparent way. In other words, it stays a lot truer to the original sound source. So Vollet 2 is a free compressor plugin brought to us from Sonic Anomaly. Now, it was originally developed for dialogue in a broadcast environment, which it does very well. However, it's also very useful in musical applications too. So let's look at Vollet 2 in a little bit more detail. First things first, all faders on Vollet are actually stepped. So instead of moving smoothly, they actually switch from one value to the next. It's not a big deal, just worth mentioning. So first up, at the very top, we got our LF filter, which is a high pass filter. And as I move its fader, you can see in our analyzer what exactly it's doing. So no surprises there. Just below this we have attack mode, and by default it's on 0, so this is capable of some very fast attack times. Next up is 250 microseconds, and all the way to the right it goes all the way to 1 second. So a good range of settings to choose from here. Push down and pull up. I'm going to come back to these two momentarily. Next up we have recovery. This of course is release. Now it's not scaled in milliseconds as you might expect. It starts on the left at -10, which is its fastest setting. And all the way to the right is 0, which of course is its slowest setting. Okay, next up is high frequency de-emphasis. So what exactly is this? Well, let's have a quick look at the description for this one. And you can see it here, high frequency de-emphasis. Controls how much high frequencies can affect the dynamics compression. Useful for vocals for keeping sibilants at bay. Okay, so not entirely clear. So let's have a visual of what exactly this thing is doing. So what we've got here is a 4 kHz tone been fed through Vollet 2 and then through our spectrum analyzer. Okay, so keep an eye on our level meter over here and watch what happens when we move the control. Okay, so we move it and it's turning it down. So it's turning down our 4 kHz tone. Now it's only turned it down by about 2 dB thereabouts, not a lot. So after much testing, here's my take on it. This appears to be a high shelf EQ cut with a turnover frequency of about 2 kHz, so it's operating above 2 kHz, but it is only turning it down by about 2B, not that much really. Okay, so below this we have our master volume output. Down here you can see filter sidechain. When engaged it turns orange, and what this does is it takes our high pass filter and puts it in the sidechain rather than the main signal path. Below here we have our gain reduction display. So this shows you in real time what's happening with your gain reduction. Just above it we have display speed. So you can speed up or slow down the display. It can go from 10 seconds all the way down to 1 second. And finally, below this, we have our analysis. So you got analysis here for dynamic gain reduction, max gain, max attenuation. And as you're using the plugin, these update in real time. Okay, let's come back to these two controls that we skipped a little earlier. Push down and pull up. So push down is said to be a downwards compressor. In other words, a normal compressor. You set your threshold, audio goes above the threshold, and it gets turned down. And the further you turn it down, of course, the more your audio gets compressed. Pull up, on the other hand, is another threshold, but this is for upward compression. So it works in kind of the opposite way to downward compression or normal compression. In so much as when audio goes below the threshold, it gets turned up. So the higher up the threshold, the more it gets turned up. And so it's by using a combination of these two controls that you can get as much or as little squash as you like. But of course you don't have to squash your audio to get the desired effect. Okay, that's enough talking. Let's have a look and a listen at this thing in action. Here's the audio we're going to be using. So we got a snare with some really nice ghost notes going on. So what we're going to try and do is just turn up those ghost notes a little, just so we can hear them that bit better. Let's go for it. We'll start with downward compression. Okay, that's kicking in nicely. Okay, let's couple that with some upward compression. And bring down our output by a dB or so. Let's hear it without. Okay, it's sounding pretty good. Okay, let's alter the attack. Oh, brings it back in a little bit more of the punch. Quite nice. And finally, let's just have a go at the release. Oh, that's starting to undo what we already done. Okay, let's put it back where it was. Just enough to enhance those ghost notes. As always, I will leave a link in the description for this free plugin. And again, thank you for watching. Appreciate you being here. I'll see you next time.